Hey guys, welcome back. So either I'm getting ready to do some unlicensed medical work or we're getting ready to stain the bass guitar. So I'll take you into the bass. Not in the mood for medical work. Let me get this going real quick. And like I said, did decide to use gloves because we are going to be working with stain and I have no desire to get that all over myself. I also have my ingredients and everything over here. I've got 4 ounces of water. I have my stain powder. This is for the body of the guitar. This is pre-mixed. This is something I just bought during Prime Days. This is for the neck and the back. So we're going to work on the top first, and then I'm going to set that aside. Well, we'll do the top first, wait a little bit, come back, do a second coat. Then I'm going to set that aside and start working on the neck and see if we can get the neck with at least 1 coat, if not 2 coats on, and then see where we stand with that. We'll see if I want to do any more of that depending on how the color works out. So what kind of color did I get? Well, we're going to find out right about now. I am not mixing this whole packet up. I'm going to very carefully open this over the bowl because I don't want stain powder everywhere. Already got it on the gloves a little bit, but that's fine. That's what they're here for. So if I read the instructions fine, 1.5 teaspoons of stain to 4 ounces of water should be the right mix, and that's where I'm going to start because I don't think I need too much to put a coat or 2 on the top of this. I am not going to be stirring this up with my wife's good mixer because I am not suicidal. All right, so you guys can see that. Now we're going to add the water and stir it up, and hopefully we're going to see what this color is supposed to be. There we go. I'm going to stir that up. So, oh Ted, I'm doing orange. And I will try and explain what the method to my madness is once I get this all to mix. I'll probably make a cut once we have this all mixed. It's set to mix and then let it sit for a little bit, but the powder does not seem to want to mix with the water. I used our, oh lovely, I just got stain all over everything because I slipped with the fork, so excuse me 1 minute while I take care of that. Good a time as any to show you guys this, which I have to clean off now. I have pics from all my friends in there. Casey sent this one from Tennessee. That one is from the Rock and Roller Coaster at Disney, which is no longer Aerosmith themed. John over at Smoke Eaters, Tone Yeager, a couple of bald shredder pics, and a Music Lily one, because why not? So I've got room for some more in there if I get some more special pics down the line. All right, well, lesson number 1. Let's put everything out of the line of fire that we don't want to have stain on it. And we'll keep the spray away on hand. This is going to be just a schmutz rag. Let's see if we can get that to mix up a little better now. I'm going to be very careful. Maybe a smaller container would have worked out better for this, huh guys? Because that does not seem to want to unclump. It seems very watery, but we'll see what happens. We're going to leave the spoon in there. Sorry, had a menu open. I'm going to get the mouse out of the way. I already have a little extra orange stain on it. Oh well. I'll try a magic eraser on that later. I don't want it dripping wet, but let's start in the middle and see what we got. Not quite as dark as I was hoping, but again, it's pretty thin. So we're going to go all the way through and try and get this on. And I'm going to let it dry and put a second coat on and see how much it darkens up. But I am liking what I'm seeing with the grain showing through the stain. That's going to look nice. So why orange and gray? Well, in my head, in my mind's eye, I had a vision of the top looking like fire or an embering coal, and I thought the gray on the sides and the neck would be like the ashes. So we'll have this calling out there, and even if it doesn't turn out the way I want, you know what? I'm absolutely fine with that because I already do like the way this is looking. So if it doesn't look exactly like my vision, I am perfectly fine with that. Because we're going to want to get this a little bit darker. I think next coat I am going to mix up the next batch in a little smaller container so that I can let that settle better. But this looks pretty nice in my opinion. It's not such a dramatic color that it's hiding the grain. It's almost a natural stain, and I think the grain filler really helps that pop on the top, which is what I was hoping for. It's a pity that quite a bit of it's going to be buried under a pick guard all through here and a bridge, but you know what? I think I'm going to be fine with how this is all going to look. I'm pretty excited about this. I am going to have different color gloves on the next time you see me because these are going to come off and go straight into the garbage as soon as I'm done here so that I don't end up with orange on anything, which is also why I'm wearing the shirt that I'm wearing. I'm not wearing anybody's channel merch shirt because I don't want stain on it. I also do not want any of the shirts that are mine that I care about to end up with stain on them either. Getting as close to the edge here as I can, which is fine. So when we do the gray, and it'll go up around the top a little bit, if it blends into the top with the vision that I had in mind, I think that'll look just fine. So what else? Last night, this being Saturday, so you guys will probably see this on Sunday. Last night, there were a couple of fun lives to hang out at. Jeremy did his typical Friday afternoon electric coffee shop, now with the addition of keyboards, which is amazing to me. I can play several different instruments. I can sing. Trying to do the two together usually does not end well for me. Something I need to practice on. But Jeremy, holy cow. Per one request, he just decided on the fly to try and do it on the keyboard instead of the guitar and nailed it. It was actually really, really good. So you should hang out with Jeremy on his channel. Check out his content, check out his lives. It's always a good time. And there's always just a lot of great folks in the chat too. And then later on that night, for a completely different shift of venue, we hung out with Polevault over at Dead Polevault is his channel. And I'll throw his and Jeremy's channels links into the shoutouts in the description of this video, so you guys can check them out if you want. Polevault and Sunshine Archer, who were hosting the live. Just a couple of very cool people highlighting music throughout the community from various artists and eclectic styles. It's not all, I mean, there was country, bluegrass, metal, everything, you name it, even highlighting Jeremy playing on the keyboard again. So it's just a very cool thing that they do to highlight folks from the community. And it's the chat can get a little unhinged, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And they're both great people. Yeah, I'm liking the way this color is looking. This is looking, we'll see what it's like in the camera. To my eyes, it is still orange. We'll see what the second coat gets us after this settles. But I'm liking what I see so far. I think it's going to be a little different than what my vision was. This is not quite a flame orange, but we'll see if it darkens up when I get that. But I really am liking this. The sanding work, thank you for everybody that gave advice to that. The sanding work and the grain filler work was definitely all worth it because this is spreading evenly. I don't see any spots where there's like glue or a sealer of any kind that's messing with how the finish is going to look. We'll see how the sides go. So, all right. Well, I'm going to let this sit for a second, and then I'm going to take a clean cloth and wipe this down to get off any excess so we don't end up with drips and dribbles anywhere. But I have got to say, I'm pretty excited about how this is turning out so far. All right, we're going to give this a few minutes, and then I'll wipe it down. I won't make you guys wait on camera for that. And then in a couple hours, we're going to come back and put on a second coat. And I'm going to see if I can get this into a smaller container and see if I can get that stain to mix a little better for the second coat. All right, it'll be just a few seconds for you guys, a few hours for me, but I will see you then. All right, and we are back. I made a couple of changes. As you can see by the body, some spots were thirstier than others. I think I may have gone a little too thin with my first coat instead of going overboard with the stain, so I'm going to try and go a little heavier for the second coat. If it needs a third coat, I'm probably going to do that off camera, because once the second coat is done, I'm going to set it aside over here and set up some boxes so we can start staining the neck too, so we can see what that gray looks like. The last part of the project, once the stain has set enough, I've got some holders that I can put underneath, so it's not going to be sitting on the paper or the table while I do the gray stain. That's going to be a work in progress because I don't really have anything to hold it when I have it. But when this stain sets up, how long should I wait before I trust anything sitting on there not to leave impressions in the stain? I know I've got to wait a few hours between each coat of stain, but I'm just curious for the final coat, how long do I wait before I allow anything to touch it? If anybody knows, let me know. And we'll see what we can get up to here. I might just go ahead and start staining when if I don't get responses in time, because I want to get to the point where I can start doing the Tru-Oil, the sealer on this, so that we can get to assembling it with some good strings and get an actual setup on it. Maybe do a little bit of work on that neck with the frets, because some of the frets are a little sharp, so I'm going to have to try and address that. What I'm doing here, I discovered using a cup, I can stir that stain a little more vigorously and get the chunks out of there without splattering stuff all over as I did before. Live and learn. So, but I am still going to pour it into the bowl because that's going to be easier for me to dip the rag into. But now I've got a handy holder for the spoon. Not going to be in my way. Got another pair of gloves over there for when I switch to the gray stain. All right, let's get to work and see what we can do. Had a good little distraction while I was waiting for the stain to dry. Casey put his premiere video out. Casey over at String Pickers had a cool little pedal, combo pedal from Stritch. One of the first folks I've seen actually demo it, so cool. Congratulations on that, Casey. And I'll link his channel down below, because if you want to see somebody who knows what he's doing, chugging a guitar along, but also working on them and has a wicked sense of humor, String Pickers is for you. Casey will keep you entertained while he's informing you and entertaining you. Just watch out for Billy. Yeah, this is, I think I'm going to have to do at least another coat here. I'm probably going to try and lay this on a little heavier than the last one, let it dry and wipe it down. And I'm going to try and make sure I get a little more around the edges here, because that seems where it was extra thirsty. Because as the color is wet, I'm liking it. I'm hoping that we can get enough of this on there. I'm going to seal it with Tru-Oil, so I'm hoping that we get enough of this color on there that when we seal it and then buff it, we can get a nice looking orange. I like that this isn't like candy orange colored, more of a burnt orange, kind of getting the effect I'm looking for. Not exactly what I saw in my head, but I'm really digging what I'm seeing here. So we'll see how the rest of this process goes. But yeah, I'll try and get all the coats settled for this part and for the neck tonight before go hang out with Bill over at Guitar Pit of Horrors tonight. He's going to be doing a live, another one that's always fun. And good God, man, can that guy play the guitar. So that's going to be a little fun before bedtime tonight. Tomorrow, we'll see what. I'm going to hang out with Jeremy in the morning for his Sunday show, and we'll see what else I get up to, because I know we have some places to be, possibly shopping for parts for the car, possibly, hopefully, but also some friends. We have a parade in town. Our town kind of does a hometown celebration before the 4th, I think, so as not to compete with other communities' 4th of July parades and celebrations. So we have a parade tomorrow, and our friends are hosting a parade party. So we're going to go spend some time with folks, cheer on everybody in the parade, enjoy a few adult beverages, and hopefully refresh our brains before we got to start the whole work cycle back again on Monday. All right. I'm liking the way this is looking, but I'm going to put a little bit heavier coat on, especially around the edges, than I did last time. Because I want to see if I can get some of this color to hang around instead of just getting soaked right into the wood. Like I said, if it needs a third coat, that's what we're going to do. But what I am going to do... Ooh, careful. Almost did it again. I almost set a bowl of stain going all over, which is why I've got the paper here. Thank you, Ted, for the good idea for that, because all I've got is my Music Nomad pad under there, and I'm sure as thirsty as this wood is, that foam would soak this up, and everything that I set on top of it for the next couple weeks would come away with some orange residue, which I do not want. Except on this, but I don't want it on the back. All right. Get around these edges one more time. And let that beautiful color soak in. And I will let it sit for a few minutes here. It'll be just a second for you before I take my dry cloth and wipe it down, because we don't want drips and drabs everywhere. But if this continues to set up this way, I am going to be very happy with this. I like it that it's it's still orange, but it's a very natural looking wood color to it with the grain filler. I think this is going to be beautiful. And then I will have myself a fully functioning, cool looking bass. At least fully functional enough for me that I can lay down some bass tracks and stuff that I want to get to writing. That's another thing that requires more time than I have lately, but we'll get there. I wish I could be as prolific as some of the guys in the community that write songs. Good God, you guys are amazing to me. All right, well, let's move this to the side here. I am probably going to move that. Man, that stuff does not want to settle real well. I think maybe there is a little more water to that mix than what they suggested. I'm going to set that down there. Take the dry cloth and just smooth this out just a little bit. So that we don't have drippy stuff. And then I'm going to take this glove off, set it to the side so it can dry for a couple more hours. I think I'm going to return to this tonight, because I think I do want one more coat on this. And I think what I'll do, once I get all the coats on everything I have, we'll set it up and I'll take a picture and we'll throw that up at the end of the video before I before I call it a night with you guys. All right. Which I took the liberty of taping up before starting taping. Got a little help, made sure I got the good edge so that I won't be getting my fretboard at all. And I think what we're going to do, I'm going to stain the top of the headstock first. Let's move this to the side. Get these gloves out of the way. I'm going to stain the top of the headstock first, give it a couple minutes to dry up enough, and then I'm going to tip this over so that the taped up part of the neck is sitting on the boxes and the top of the headstock will be hanging over, and I'll stain the back. And then we'll let that sit for a couple hours and come back and probably put another coat on that. We'll see how well this stain sets up. It's pre-mixed, so I know that if it's really watery, that's not me. And I think I can get away without a bowl for this because we'll just pour a little on the cloth from the bottle. We'll see how it goes. And where did my other glove go, guys? All right, hold that thought. Somewhere along the line, I pulled 2 gloves and I've misplaced one. That's all right. We got more. Oh, it's right there on the floor as I look down. So this one will go back to the side for when I get back to orange. All right. Keeping these gloves around is kind of a necessity because you saw when I started in the background, we have our furry friends that both live in cages, and we occasionally need to clean said cages. And you know what? Guinea pigs and rabbits are small, but they can be gross. So that's why we have gloves. This said to shake really well. So here we go. All right, everything looks mixed. Let's see what goes on here. Okay, good. Doesn't have a funny seal on the inside of the bottle, so nothing that I need to get off of there. Oh, seems pretty decent. We'll leave the cap over there. And we'll take a little bit and start. Yeah, this is going to need more than one coat. That is a very light gray. I want that to be a little darker, but hopefully still show the grain through. I don't know if you can see on camera how that's looking. Actually, I should probably do it over. I am going to have to get myself a Q-tip and put a little bit of gray stain inside that hole. I'm not going to go too far down, but I don't want just the bare wood there. And I don't have any other colored stain. I think the orange would look a little goofy in there. You let me know what you think, but I'm going to probably just add some gray to it. Yeah, this stain does not spread as thick as the other one. So I tell you what, I think I'm going to have to do this a couple times to get really good coverage. Or it could be just this wood is extra thirsty. I believe the neck is maple. This being an unbranded Glari kit from Temu, was short on details about everything that's in there. Might end up with a little stain inside the holes, but that's okay. It's not paint, so it's not going to gum up anything. And if I have to, I'll take a little bit of sandpaper to the inside of the tuning holes when I remount them. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to have to go over that one more time. That is really, really thirsty, but I do like the color of the gray. You guys will have to let me know what you think about orange and gray. I could have gone natural, but I wanted something, like I said, this was the idea that came into my head, so I went with it. I think I'm going to like it, but worst case scenario, again, you can always sand and start over again, but I don't think that I'm going to want to here. I think when it dries, it's going to look good, and especially when I throw the Tru-Oil on it to give a little bit of shine when I buff it up. And we'll see how she looks. Because right now it kind of just looks like primer gray to my eyes, which is fine, but I want that grain to show through, and I think with a little bit of shine to it, it'll be perfect. Be exactly what I'm looking for. All right. Let's move this quickly so I don't tip anything over. We're going to move the headstock so it's hanging over. And I'm going to try and get the sides and back of it as well as the sides and back of the neck. I don't have too much more to talk about, guys, so I might speed this up as it goes and then bring you back in when I'm to the point where I'm going to call it. All right, I am calling it kind of a video for now, and we're making this the spot where I come back in. There was a lot of talking which might be in speedy up segments. So this towel is going to go straight to the garbage along with these gloves, and then I will come back and put that cap on so I don't end up with stain all over. I think we're at a point where we're going to stop for a little bit. I can see on the body, again, the edges were really thirsty, so it's going to need a third coat for sure. All right, guys. Around about here, you should be seeing a picture of what the final results of 2 or 3 coats will look like. And then we will see you guys next time when we get into finishing with Tru-Oil to try and seal everything and hopefully give this a nice shine. Or to look back on this and go, well, mistakes were made. But I think I'm going to be happy with it either way, even if it's not perfect. It's my first attempt at doing something, and good or bad, I think it's going to live there as a reminder to me. This was what my first attempt was and the lessons I learned from it. Or if it turns out fantastic, the lessons I learned that way. All right, guys, I will talk to you in the next video.